Chapter 252. The Magic Spring Ruins. Udir mulled over the unfamiliar name for a moment, then quietly recalled his memories. What were they researching? Were there such ruins in the Great Serene Forest? The Great Serene Forest, known for its mysterious vitality, had long been believed by many to be a place where ancient treasures could surface if one were to dig beneath it. Countless individuals, too many to name, had wasted their lives excavating near the Great Serene Forest, dedicating their existence to the pursuit and would likely continue to do so in the future. Yet, as far as Udir knew, no one had ever truly found anything of substantial value. I don't recall hearing about mages conducting research there after the Western monster subjugation and the collapse of the Pearl Tower. Perhaps the research had ended with the Western monster subjugation in his past life. Udir thought and then glanced at Kishir. As if waiting for that very moment, he opened his mouth to pose a question to Lorna. I am not familiar with these ruins, but the name Magic Spring seems rather familiar. Did you perhaps take the name from the legend of the Magic Spring related to the Archmage Luma? It was indeed derived from that, but that's not all there to it. Lorna's eyes suddenly sparkled, perhaps because the topic was related to her research. Our Western Mage Union believes that these ruins might indeed be a magic spring. You probably wouldn't understand how monumental this is for us mages. I see. Udir's reaction seemed quite cool, causing another mage to clench his fist and raise his voice. Of course, many claim it's a wild fantasy. Baron Wilhelm and even our headquarters at the Pearl Tower have expressed skepticism about the years long scale research without any significant findings. But this year, something will definitely emerge. It's a critical time. With that, the surrounding mages began to chime in one by one. That's true. I truly have a feeling about this year. The magic energy levels in that land have changed so drastically. There can't possibly be nothing there. We can't let those who are showing interest now snatch it away from us. The moment he heard, the less reason Udir could see for the cavalry to be interested in their ruins. Yet they seemed fiercely antagonistic for reasons unclear. Even if it's a time when little is known about awakeners, they should know that the power of the awakener and the magic used by mages are entirely different. While Udir was wondering whether it was time to reveal that they were cavalry, Kana quietly asked Kishir in a low voice. What is this legend of the magic spring? It's a part of legend about the magic revolution. 1,000 years ago, the first mages, including Archmage Luma, are said to have drunk from the magic spring and awakened their magic power for the first time. I see. So they are excavating because they think that it might be there in the Great Serene Forest? It seems so. But why? Why would we be interested in such a place? It doesn't make sense. Kana's expression became even more peculiar. The other cavalry members also seemed to have complicated feelings about being embroiled in such a wild legend and earning the mages' resentment. And then, as if shattering their thoughts, Kishir murmured softly, Is that really the case? Excuse me? Do you simply think of them as absurd? Consider the legends I have told you along with their words. Does it not sound like a familiar tale? Familiar? What do... Could it be? A faint voice from behind caused the hairs on the back of his neck to stand on edge. Udir turned his gaze towards the mages, who were still fervently arguing with each other, and quickly racked his brain. The magic spring that supposedly granted magical abilities to the initial mages, and the red stone that empowered the awakener. Is there unusual caution towards the awakener and their anger at the mere interest in their research due to linking these two? the red stone and the magic spring. Is that it? Whether the quiet whisper that slipped from either's lips was heard or not, a short laugh like the sound of wind followed from behind. The small reaction, exactly the same satisfied laugh, often shown when neither smoothly understood Kishir's intent, was more decisive than any other response. Previously, Alec had said he did not know whether Luma's magical revolution was real or not. Yudir recalled a part of the old story he had once shared with the priest Lusan when Alec, the apprentice of Thias Yulman, had just awakened. At that time, he had discussed the magical revolution of Luma, saying neither Thias nor himself believed it to be real. According to the story, Alec and the Western Mage Union would have different views on the magical revolution. If the magic spring really existed and they found it, my previous life would surely have known. However, that had not happened. Therefore, one might conclude that the research of the Western Mage Union either failed or was abandoned. Yet, the idea of linking the legend related to the origin of magic, which began in ancient times, to the red stone was surprisingly novel, something he had never thought of before. So, there were mages who considered the origins of magic and the awakeners to have started in the same way. It was said that the Western Mage Union, unable to produce research results for several years, were now viewed skeptically by the Pearl Tower. However, thinking conversely, it also implied that at the inception of their research, the Pearl Tower had seen some potential there. What potential had they seen in those ruins? While observing the mages with those thoughts, Lorna's conversation with the other mages caught Yiddir's attention. So, when we arrive at the base, we need to help restore the defense line first. While restoring, we may have to alternate on guard duty, but the level of risk is something we must bear. Despite the recent near death encounter with monsters, there wasn't a hint of fear in the eyes of any of the mages. They were filled with an urgent desire to return and continue their research. Would those who don't even fear death have so easily believed their research failed and retreated? Could the fact that he knew nothing about them, even during the extermination of the monsters in the West and even after he took the commander's position, simply be because their research had failed? When the Pearl Tower collapsed, many of its mages went missing and a significant amount of research data was lost. However, there was something unsettling about attributing everything about them to that event alone. Mages. Those mages who were in the West during this period, did we have a chance to clash with those affiliated to that region while we were on our subjugation mission? I can't remember well. As he speculated about the source of this discomfort, observing their postures, a snippet of a long forgotten memory and thought suddenly surged in Yiddir's mind. Could this be related to the incidents that occurred in the western border area before the dispatch of the cavalry in my previous life? In his previous life, cavalry was dispatched to the west a few months from now, and due to the delayed response, the situation was already dire. There were a few severe incidents reported almost daily until their deployment, among which some involved the death of mages that were serious enough to be mentioned by Kishir, if his memory served right. Yiddir tried to recall as much of the dim memory as he could. Was it the incident where several border villages were wiped out due to a presumed mass monster outbreak? Although there had been numerous villages that had nearly been destroyed due to monsters, what set this incident apart was a significant number of individuals who appeared to be mages among the victims. He recalled Kishir's cold judgment that the uproar over who was to be blamed only served to worsen the already chaotic Western situation. Not long after, the cavalry was dispatched. By the time cavalry, including Yiddir, had arrived in the West, the incident had long been resolved. If those who died back then were mages from the Western Mage Union, It would make sense why Udir didn't know about them and why their research had been forgotten and lost. While it was just speculation, the possibility was indeed there. Suddenly, the faces of the mages who were chattering in front of him started to seem as pale as those of the dead. Suppressing the chill in his stomach, Yidhir opened his mouth. Excuse me? Can I continue speaking now? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We got carried away with our conversation. Please continue. Lorna, the absent minded mage, finally noticed the presence of the guest standing before her and apologized as she responded. Yudhir glanced at the mage's friendly faces and slowly asked a question. If, as you said earlier, the cavalry appeared before you to clarify the misunderstanding, what would you do? If they claim that they have no interest in the research of the Western Mage Union and had no connection to Baron Wilhelm or the Tain family, would you believe them? Why would you say that? Sensing something unusual in Yudhir's voice, Lorna furrowed her brows. Her gaze swept over Yudhir's face anew. Didn't you say you were knights and mercenaries? We were dispatched for a mission and couldn't reveal our identities right away, but we don't want any misunderstanding to deepen, so we decided to tell the truth here. After taking a deep breath, Yudhir revealed their identities to the mages, who were staring at him with shocked faces. We are the cavalry you have mentioned.